Ladies and gentlemen, hello to each and every one of you. Once again, you are welcome here on the platform of Awakening of Consciousness. The historic date of May 9th, 2025, which is dedicated to the celebration of the 80th anniversary of the victory of the former Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, thus Russia, against Nazi Germany. This date is shaping up to be very dangerous for Russia and for the world leaders who decide to come to Russia. NATO, which is pushing Volodymyr Zelensky, is moving to another stage. We have learned through intelligence services, and the announcement was made by some high-ranking Ukrainian officials that Ukraine was preparing a serious strike that is supposed to take place on May 9th in Moscow. During the celebration of the 80th anniversary of Russia's victory over Germany, we learned that Ukraine was preparing. And when we say Ukraine, it should be understood as NATO. It is even because of this that Vladimir Putin declared a 3-day ceasefire, since the 70th anniversary was celebrated before Russia's conflict with Ukraine began. And this time, it is the 80th anniversary, which coincides with a time when Russia is in conflict with Ukraine. A time when warheads and shells are being launched at the Russian capital, Moscow. So, to prevent anything from happening, Vladimir Putin has established a unilateral ceasefire that is set to start on May 8th, 9th, and 10th, as many officials and leaders will be traveling. But in response to this, aside from the information we received regarding Ukraine's preparations, Ukraine has just made a statement. Volodymyr Zelensky has just issued a statement warning world leaders about the date of May 9th, 2025. We wonder if obviously, and it might just be a way to deter. But when we see the direction Ukraine has taken recently, through the immense support that NATO is indeed providing to Ukraine these past few days, when we even see the United States of America deciding to sell F-16 spare parts to Ukraine, even though they had said they would no longer give anything to Ukraine. When we see the European Union abandoning the path of peace, a path that the European Union has never really taken, but deciding to strengthen the military capabilities of Ukraine and its own member countries, we think that May 9th is indeed something to be feared. Even if we must trust Vladimir Putin and his defense system, but no matter what happens, regardless of the strength of the air defense system, this system can withstand 200, 300 drones. But when more than 1,000 drones are sent, inevitably, some drones will definitely reach their target. And even if the drones do not reach their target, it will already create total chaos during the event that will bring together world leaders. So, what would be likely to promote or facilitate things is when Ukraine takes into account the presence of world leaders and understands that if Ukraine or NATO or Ukraine-NATO proceed with strikes on May 9th and it affects a world leader, the conflict would then be redirected. It would no longer be just between Russia and Ukraine, but also between Ukraine and the country whose leader was affected. Ukraine dismisses this with a wave of the hand. What does Zelensky say? Share the video conference with me. Share the video conference First of all, President Zelensky rejected Vladimir Putin's proposal for a 3-day ceasefire. He rejects it and warns world leaders. We'll get to that shortly. Thank you for leaving many likes and sharing the video conference. Share it as much as possible. So, Zelensky rejects the 3-day ceasefire and instead insists on a full 30-day ceasefire. He wants a full 30-day ceasefire, like what America had also demanded. You know, regarding the 3-day ceasefire, Donald Trump had said he was disappointed. Even his administration had said they were disappointed, and that it was obviously necessary to ensure it was 30 days and a complete ceasefire. So, Zelensky is coming back to the same point. If he had stopped there, it could be understood, but he is threatening. So what is he saying? He says that Ukraine cannot guarantee the safety of world leaders in Moscow on May 9th. Here, very simply and briefly, is what Zelensky declared. He says that Ukraine cannot guarantee the safety of world leaders on May 9th in Moscow. This would mean that the leaders who are smart would not go to Moscow. When Zelensky says that Ukraine cannot guarantee the safety of world leaders who will be in Moscow on May 9th, knowing that Ukraine is in conflict with Moscow, with Russia. So, those leaders who will agree to travel to a territory at war, since it must be said, initially it was said that it was just the special military operation. But now, even Russian soil is affected, you know, since several regions of Russia are regularly hit. Even Moscow has been visited by several Ukrainian drones. So, it's a mess. It's a message from Zelensky, as if to say to world leaders, don't go there, don't go to Moscow. Even if, in the end, Zelensky might not take action, it doesn't please Ukraine to see Russia gathering world leaders and celebrating its victory. It doesn't please the West either. We have seen, on this occasion, the European Union brandishing a threat against its member countries, forbidding them from going to Moscow on May 9th. Not because of their safety, but because of what it symbolizes. We saw Viktor Orban being threatened, the head of the Hungarian executive. He was threatened, and he himself said no, that he will go. He will manage, he will return, and he will see what sanction will be applied to him. So, Zelensky threatens. Whatever happens, maybe others will find the courage to go. But when you know that by going, there are drones that will come, it already instills fear. And all this is taken into account to isolate Vladimir Putin, to prevent his celebration from succeeding. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is the headline of the news. Thank you for sharing it as much as possible. I will be back shortly, by the grace of Almighty God, with new updates. This was the voice of your humble servant, Robert Théa.